Welcome to the Evolve WMMA podcast featuring women who inspire, empower, and unleash excellence within a new generation of female warriors as they rise and evolve into the best possible versions of themselves through the power of mixed martial arts. Hey, this is Evolve WMMA, and I'm your host, Shelley Devine. My next guest is a freestyle fighter out of Hooksett, New Hampshire, and the number 2 ranked women's pound for pound in New England. She suffered her first professional career loss this past July at Invicta FC 30 to Stephanie Geltmacher, leaving her with a 3-1 record. I'd like to welcome Invicta bantamweight fighter, Kerri Kenneson. Hi. Can you hear me? Good.
Yeah. Sorry, my computer's really slow sometimes, so it drives me crazy.
Oh, it's a little old one then, huh?
It's not actually. Just when it's starting up, I guess I'm not patient.
Okay. Well, it looks like it's coming in now good, so that's great. Are you just coming from training?
I'm just coming from work, yeah. So not training today, but
okay. Can you refresh your listeners what else you do for work?
I work at my gym. So so I work at Team Link. I do a lot of the business stuff there, memberships and advertise marketing, pretty much a whole bunch of just random stuff.
That's great. Yeah, you have a business major. I remember you telling us the last time you were on the show. That's awesome.
I have a business major and a partial graphic design degree. So I do like a lot of our t-shirt designs and logos and flyers, things like that too.
Did you do that picture of yourself, the black and white for Halloween with the horn and the skull and stuff? That was awesome.
Yeah, I did that.
That was really good.
Yeah, something for fun. Thank you.
Yeah, that was very cool. I liked that one a lot. I was like, oh, wow. I like it. And I started a show like on the Facebook page, all the other female fighters that are dressing up for the holiday or whatever at the time for the trick or treat and Halloween or whatever. And everybody had some cool, some cool costumes. But that was like one of my favorite pictures. I was like, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's fun to do that stuff.
It's a good profile piece, that's for sure.
Yep.
So how's the training been going since this past July?
Good. So we were trying to get a fight for November on CES, because Invicta had originally told us they weren't going to use us again until like December or January. So we got permission to try to fight for CES in November. Mm-hmm. But it just never panned out. Didn't get an opponent. So, we were back into camp back then. I got a nutritionist. I was doing some things differently this time around. So, but I'll have her again for whenever we have something else coming up. But right now I'm just kind of just plugging away. Nothing like too crazy as far as training. I'm just maintaining, learning. We had a really busy couple of years, and
yeah, for sure, I know.
Maybe the fight not happening in November was a blessing in disguise. I got to rest my body a bit and just kind of try to rejuvenate myself and get the fire back. And so, because it's easy to get burnt out when you're going and going and going back. We had quite a few fights in the last couple of years. So
yeah, you were a very, very busy fighter. And I mean, even this past year you had, you made your Invicta debut, and you won against Chelsea Chandler.
Yeah.
And then in July you had another fight against Stephanie Geltmacher, who, wow. Yeah. I watched and I was like, wow. That really, were you just kind of like, I know you were bummed out. I was bummed out, but like you must have been really bummed out. But
yeah.
You didn't even really have a chance. And apparently she's a great wrestler, and she just took you down, and you could just never get. And sometimes fights go like that. You're just like, oh shit.
Yeah, it was It was an interesting experience because I was supposed to fight a different girl. I had done my entire training camp training for a striker, and like, was it like a week, 5 days, something like that before my fight? She injured her shoulder, and they were basically like, we have Stephanie Geltmacher. This is all we have. Pretty much take it or leave it.
Wow.
And I was like, shit, well, all right, I'm going to fight. So, you know, it was just a totally different opponent. She's a 4-time All-American wrestler.
Yeah.
She's, you know, been at the highest levels of what she does. And it's just, it was totally different from a striker. And, you know, we, as fighters, you have to be prepared for everything, you know, and no excuses. But I think mentally it was just, I let a lot of the anxieties and feeling like I wasn't prepared enough get the best of me for sure. And if I'm being completely honest, I think I lost that fight before I even stepped in there. And it just, yeah, it was just one of those things. Like,
you know, it's good to know that, but it's still like, wow, like. Yeah,
so I just, didn't feel right, like going into it. Even that night, I just felt really off, and just, so it just affected me physically. Because, I mean, she's a strong girl, but I just felt like I was very weak and just felt like I couldn't do anything, you know. I just couldn't move. So
yeah, well, once she got on top of you, I mean, anybody, the way she was, you know, holding you down and everything. I mean, she really kind of.
Yeah, I mean, wrestlers and their pressure. It's like I've never felt pressure like that before, at all. So it was, I mean, I tried everything that I knew how to get out, and it just didn't work, you know.
Yeah, she was tough. I mean, like, it was definitely a very hard thing to get out of. I mean, anybody else probably still would have had a problem with her.
Yeah.
Or that quickly into the fight and being taken down, and then just that whole, like, just, you know, on top of the whole time. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, it was a crappy way to lose, but I was fine. Physically, I was actually like the least damaged I've ever been in probably one of my fights, which is weird. But yeah, so I came out of it fine. It's just a blow to the
ego.
Yeah. But she actually just fought a couple weeks ago. She did win, so she'll be good. She's a good fighter.
Yeah, I mean, if you fight her again, I think it will be hopefully a different story.
You know, and I'm not saying that. I think it would be if I had a full camp against her. I think it would have gone very differently. But
yeah. Have you done anything recently to prepare for, say, that fighter, like a wrestler type of, you know, the takedowns and that I mean, it's a different game, obviously, if they're constantly shooting in on you and they're trying to take you down, and they just kind of, you know, go through and they do the double leg or the single leg takedowns. Have you done anything? I was watching, rewatching the atom weight division. They're going to have the rematch for the title fight against Nina Grusander and Jimmy Fry.
Yeah.
And that fight, it was, you know, to me, a lot of, you know, kind of wrestling where, Mina held her up against the cage, but she didn't really get any takedowns because of the way Jin handled herself up against the cage. You didn't really get pressed up against the cage at all. You were just
I think honestly, if it did, that would have been much better for me. It was interesting because it was the first fight that I was I would say, inferior wrestler, because a lot of my game has been, you know, that grind, getting my hands on people, taking them down, grind and pound. So it was like the roles were reversed on me, and I'm like, because I've always had that as like my backup, like, okay, that's what I'm good at, that's what I like to do, I feel comfortable. And so going against her, I was like, shit, well, now I'm not the better wrestler. Like, it's totally different. So yeah, I mean, we definitely know what to do. It's just a matter of, you know, you can only drill so much into your brain in 5 days and totally change your game plan. It just didn't work out.
Yeah. I mean, I know, like, you never know. Sometimes fights can go, like, you could be leading, you know, all the rounds, and then all of a sudden one simple mistake in MMA and you're like, wow, how did that happen? So
and
I mean, I guess
part of it too is just controlling myself in those bad situations, because it's really the first time I've ever been controlled in a bad spot like that. I've been in submission spots and, work my way out of them, but like that was the first time I've ever been controlled in a bad position. And I think I freaked out a little bit. I think like I panicked, just because I felt like I had to get out quick, but I think if I actually had just calmed myself down and just thought about things a little bit better and just, ate the round, like, okay, it's going to be a 10-8 or whatever, but just came back in the next round, I think it would have been a different story. But I think I was scrambling so much and just freaking out that I just left myself to, to what happened. I think I could have controlled her maybe better, to just kind of ride it out. But yeah.
Do you think too? You're definitely moving up in quality of fighters. That you're gonna be getting. So it's going to be definitely more challenging as you proceed in your career as a fighter.
Yep, absolutely.
So this was kind of like a good wake up call, kind of like the first time you got knocked out.
Yep.
And you're like, oh yeah, that was like, hey, I'm gonna come back a little scarier than I ever was.
Yep. Yeah, it's what I thought. I'm like, I had that feeling again, and that was like we had talked about before. It would like lit a fire under my ass, and so yeah, it's definitely back to square one again, and just getting back in there. So it'll be good. We'll be back. And
are you doing things different with your fight camp and your fight training? Not that you have a fight camp going on now, but your type of training now too, where maybe a little bit more wrestling is just getting, included in your game. So there's a lot of fighters, are so versatile with more fights that they get. As the experience goes, being in the ring, especially when it comes to, I know one of your goals is, to become a champ. So you are going to be having to go maybe at some point 5 rounds if you get that opportunity as you progress with whoever you fight in the near future. So, part of the game is going to be able to contend with fighters that that have great stand-up, that have great takedowns, that are really super, jiu-jitsu players. We watched the Pam Bam and the Felicia Spencer fight just recently, and it was like, I was like, oh, they're both great fighters, but I was like, I thought Pam was gonna win, and she didn't. And,
I know. It was a great fight.
Yeah, and Felicia
doing so well, and I thought she was outclassing her, and and
then all of a sudden, like, the jiu-jitsu kicks in, and it's just like, dang.
Well, I think we've always, this one thing we've done at our camp is always just try to be really well-rounded. I feel more comfortable on the ground, but I know that, there's going to be the day that I have to strike with somebody, and we always try to just get better in every aspect, because you have to be. There's no other way at this level. So, we do wrestling, we do everything, we do, we train everything. So it's really, my goal is to just be completely well-rounded, and be able to handle anything.
So I saw some pictures. You have more women that you get to kind of spar against too, to get a real flavor or a real feel for what it's like at your own weight, of having somebody kind of lie down on you, as opposed to like the male opponents, like when you're sparring and preparing for, to get like a better feel. Do you have many?
So as far as women that I train with, the only woman that I train with is Taylor Thompson on occasion. That's my weight, who's also a fighter. At my gym, we don't have any females that fight. We have a couple smaller girls who've done like boxing and kickboxing, but they're just so much smaller than me, and it's not really that beneficial yet. So that is something that, kind of stings, because there's just not a lot of people. We're in New Hampshire, and there's just not a lot of people. Right. I do get to train with Taylor every once in a while, and she's been great because she's so long and she has really good jiu-jitsu. And so for that, and I have fought a lot of tall, good jiu-jitsu players in my amateur careers and as a pro. So it kind of gives me that look, which has been good. But as far as everything else, I really just train with guys. And, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that's more beneficial in some ways. But there's also, I don't know if I touched on this before with you, but I feel like there's always that, like, if they overpower you or if they beat you, it's like you can always have that excuse in the back, oh, they're a guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
And that's why, but when you're training with girls, you like put it up to these girls who are your weight. Like there's no excuse then, like if you, so I wish that I did have more, but I'm actually, I got my passport today, and I'm going to go up to Canada next week to TriStar.
Nice.
So just for something different, like I'm going by myself and
awesome.
A little getaway. And,
do they have women up there? Anybody notable that is up at TriStar in Canada? Is there
well, that's GSP's gym.
Yeah, but
but as far as females, I know Rhonda Marcos had trained there. I don't know if she's there permanently. I know like JoJo Calderwood has. I really don't know any permanent females up there. I haven't really looked into it, honestly. Just something fun to do to get out of here for a bit and get some experience in. And
nice.
I really want to start just taking advantage of everything that I have, because we're not going to be able to be traveling the country and traveling the world doing this forever. And, hopefully I can get some good times and experiences out of everything that we have. So
pointers and tips, I'm sure. I know Sarah Click went down to Coconut Creek to American
I saw that
team, and she was sparring with Johanna, getting Johanna prepared.
Yeah, it's super cool. Like that's the things that I want to be able to do and branch out and just have some fun here and there while you have the opportunities. So that's what I'm gonna do next week, and
that's a good game plan. That's good to try out a few things and see if you can pick up something and learn it and then bring it back to your gym and expand on it there because you learned something. Are your coaches fine with that?
Yeah. I actually just told Ed today. I'm like, you're always going to be my coach now. This is the first time I've never trained outside of my gym before. Yeah. Never really had the desire to or want to. And it's not that I'm going, it's more so just, I love Montreal and I'm going for like a little vacation thingy, and I'm just going to go there for the fun of it. So, my team is my team. My coaches are my coaches and I love them. So not going anywhere. But yeah.
That's cool.
Have some fun.
That's cool. So who do you think might be your next opponent at Invicta? Like any inkling of maybe who you would be fighting or any idea?
Well, I'm kind of hoping they'll give us the fight back that we are originally supposed to have. Before I fought Stephanie, I was supposed to fight Alexa Connors. And like I said, she got injured.
Yeah.
She just fought on the same night that Stephanie fought too. She ended up losing, got her nose broken pretty bad, but I think that would be a good fight for me and for us. We share an interesting family history as well.
What's that?
Well, we have both lost our fathers to suicide.
Right.
And I was, we had a couple things back and forth on Twitter, and it's just, we both kind of believe in the same things, and I think it's just a good feel, it's a good fight, and we both have some things that we fight for together. So
that's cool. That's really cool. I saw your post on your Facebook about, I think it must have been, it was like National Suicide Prevention.
Yeah, I don't talk much about it, but I post little things here and there when I feel like it. So
yeah,
that's always something that is in the back of my head when I go into my fights is my dad. So
Your dad sounded like really cool and very supportive of you. I'm not sure what, went on with him and why he did what he did or anything like that. But he sounded very supportive of you as a martial artist and being a female and getting into, say, the UFC, because we talked about this on the last show.
Yes, we did actually talk about that.
I was like, wow, your dad was a progressive thinker. For sure.
Yep. Yeah, it's funny how life works like that. But yes, always very supportive. So he's always in my corner.
Yeah. And I mean, we know Ronda Rousey. We talked about that. I mean, her dad too.
Yep.
An affinity to her, and seeing her fight and say, hey.
Yep.
Really
so. Yeah.
That's really a lot of motivation, and it kind of keeps you, I think, centered with what you are doing and why you're doing it. There's this, I have a very close friend of mine that her dad committed suicide too, and there's this TV show on, and she was telling me about it, but I didn't know it was about suicide and how it affects like all the different people around. It's a new show on, I don't know what channel it is, but it's called A Million Little Things. I don't know if you've seen it.
No, I haven't.
But it's really, I mean, I was like, Deb, how could you watch that? I'm like, you must be like, oh my gosh, because when I first watched it, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And then you see all the storylines and how things affect those who are left behind.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where, I mean, obviously losing anybody they love is very difficult and affects you forever. But I think there's something different about this situation,
Yeah.
Somebody choosing to leave that is it's different to deal with.
Yeah. It's like, why is this? And
yeah, it's there's just a lot of guilt and a lot of what ifs and things like that you kind of you play with in your head. And so just things that, losing somebody, you lost your family to cancer, your mother to cancer, that's sad and it's horrible, but that's.
Yeah. It is. It's like you're without somebody in your life that was super important. And I mean, how old were you when your dad passed away?
Like 23, I think.
So you're older.
Yeah.
Still doesn't make any more sense, but
no.
And you have a brother too that is younger or
older. I have an older brother. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's challenging for sure. And yeah, we
just try to make something, positive out of it though. So I always try to post little things here and there, or, just, I thought about, I done more than thought about it, but I've worked on, a t-shirt. I talked to you about I do graphic design. I want to start a t-shirt company. And I know we always do like, the fighter walkout shirts as part of our, camps, and we get sponsors and this and that. And I was thinking about doing something different for my next fight and to design a shirt because I had always thought about this kind of logo, Fight for Life. So,
nice.
Fighting for life. So I've been making like some designs with that, Fight for Life kind of logo, things like that. And selling shirts like that, giving, a portion of the proceeds to like NAMI or something like that, the National Alliance Against Mental Illness, or I'm doing something like that for my next fight instead of just the same old walkout shirt again, just something different. So keep a lookout for that. I might do that.
That's really great. I mean, like, in bringing some awareness to it and helping people.
Yeah.
Hopefully, if people are contemplating that sort of thing, that they rethink it.
Yeah,
get some help. They get help.
Obviously, there's been a lot of that kind of stuff in the news lately, and just spreading the awareness, and hopefully more people will get the help that they need when they need it.
Yeah, because it does affect the people that are left behind with a lot of questions and emotions that are unresolved for your entire life. Afterwards, you lead your life with that kind of missing of that person in your life, which there's always solutions to whatever problems or whatever that person might be feeling at that time, which is Ah,
Absolutely. But
yeah, yeah. But I like that. I like that you're drawing. You'll bring attention to it in the fight game.
yeah, there's something different I thought about
Because you
doing.
are on
So
a public, forum, and if people know your story, maybe they'd be likely even to reach out and say, "Oh, you know what? You inspired me not to do something,"
yeah,
or even a kid that maybe who has already lost a parent or lost a loved one.
yeah, you never know what your actions or small actions, anything can do for somebody. So
Yeah, and change their thinking, in an instant if they hear something and they're like, "Oh, I'm not alone. I'm not alone in this," Because I
Yep.
think that's what the biggest might thing be is people feel alone for very many different reasons that nobody can
Right.
identify with them. So when you're looking at, I noticed there's, for you, I'm going to circle back. You mentioned you have a new nutritionist, and you're a bantamweight, and you fight easily at 135, or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I used to fight at 125.
Yeah, that's what I
and
thought.
then I missed weight twice.
Okay.
The last two fights I tried to make it, and I decided to go up. So, because it was really rough, and I'm a professional and I should be making my weight. There's no excuse for that. So I went up. I'm kind of like borderline. I'm like a big 125er, but I'm not like that big of a 135er. So, we definitely like started trying to put on some muscle, doing some different strength and conditioning work that we hadn't been doing before. And I got the nutritionist, not because I couldn't make 135, but just to do it the right way, without questioning anything, without taking in less than I have to, just optimizing everything that we do, taking the guesswork out of it. So, Trisha Cornell, she's Fuel Nutrition. She's in Rhode Island.
Nice.
She's a great person. She's out of Pride Martial Arts, and her husband owns Pride. So yeah, a lot of us have been, I know Nick, JC, Alley, my team, he's been using her. Miguel's used her. So quite a few of us have. So she's been really great. So I started working with her, and then the fight fell through. So I'm going to pick back up where I left off with her once I get another fight happening. So.
Oh, cool. Because I noticed the flyweight, and I was thinking of that there's a vacant title there. I was like,
yeah, I always think about going back, and
yeah.
I bet with Trisha that I could make it. It's whether I want to take on all of that extra stress. It's like kind of like you got to weigh the pros and the cons, and but at this level, it's maybe it would be best, but it's hard for me. So
yeah, I didn't know if it was or not. That's why I wanted to ask, because I wasn't sure what your ideal weight was. To me, it's really hard to tell what, the fighters are so lean looking and fit and typically muscular or whatever. And it's like, wow, they look like they're 115, like easy. And then they're 145.
Yeah. Well, I have no problem talking about my weight. I walk around at like 150 usually. So
yeah, well, I would never think that at all of you. Like, I've seen you walking around, and I'm like, there's no way.
But when I was fighting 125, I was walking around like 145, so I still had like 20 pounds to go. So, so it's like either 20 pounds or like 15 pounds. So it's
yeah, I'm astounded.
Or put on 5 more pounds of muscle, and then it'll be 20 again to 35.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's amazing. I mean, back in the day when I was probably like your age, like people would be like, the Marilyn Monroe body, like trying to be like, and then they're weighing 120 or 110. What do you weigh? 110. And now like women are like very athletic and physical, and so you're seeing the higher, weights, and for me, I think I'm brainwashed. So when
Yeah.
I heard, like, I don't know if it was you or I talked about this with somebody else, and it must have been, I had seen you when I was in the bathroom, and there was other fighters at a Brazilian jiu-jitsu tournament, and they were all shorter than me, and they were ripped, muscular, or whatever, and they were like 145ers, and I was like, there's absolutely no way, because I know what I weigh. You can't be 145. And they looked so lean. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, I know. People who aren't in the sport, like, they ask me how much I weigh, and they're like, really? You weigh that much? I'm like,
yeah, muscle.
Muscle. Yep.
It is. So muscle does put on. So anybody who's out there who's on a diet and they're exercising and they don't see the weight going down off the scale, get off the scale.
Scale is not always the best way to determine how good you're doing.
It is not at all.
I judge it by how well my clothes fit.
Exactly.
Yep.
That is the truth. Oh my gosh. So I was looking at where you're ranked, and they have you in New England as number 2, and then number 4 throughout the Northeast, and then on the United States, you're, I think, around in the 30s. So I was looking at potential, like, okay, who could she fight? And I mean,
what'd you come up with?
Well, I'm like, I was like, oh gosh, Alexis Connors is one, but like, it'd be interesting to see. I was thinking about other divisions because I wasn't sure what you were actually able to do. I was thinking, maybe you should get in the flyweight, and then of course I'm looking at the featherweight because you could go that route too. But would you find that would be a more difficult?
I feel like I am much closer to a 125 fighter than a 145 fighter. I turned down going to the Ultimate Fighter tryouts. I actually talked to the producer, Gary, back before they had done the heavy hitters tough, and he asked me if I wanted to go, and of course I wanted to go, but I'm like, there's just no place for me at 145. I'm much closer to 125, and these girls are just gonna, they're just so much bigger. So I don't think I would ever fight at 145. No. Yeah,
I mean, definitely. I mean, it would be a tough.
I would love 130 is like perfect for me, but
okay, cool.
So I did actually a couple catchweight fights in my earlier career at 130, and that was like right on. So
that felt good to you.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Cool. That sounds really good. So when Invicta, you had put a shout out to them to come to the East Coast.
Yeah.
I haven't seen them. And they said they might do it this year, and there hasn't been anything like that. Are you still kind of like
I know, it's a bummer because apparently they had said they were going to have one show on the East Coast this year. Obviously not happening.
Yeah.
I really hope they do it next year. There are quite a few Northeast fighters on their roster, which would be great. Aaron Blanchfield he just passed me in the Northeast rankings because I was number 2 in Northeast too.
Nice.
But now I'm 4. She just went up. Jillian DeCourcy.
I'm trying to find my. Yeah, I have like, who is it? Yeah, Erin, Cold Blooded. I haven't seen her. Yeah.
I think she just came up with that nickname, but
Cold Blooded.
Yeah, her and Jillian I've met a few times who is great. Yeah, there's a bunch of us we could get on that.
Yeah, for sure. Be kind of very cool. Like, it would be great if they came. I don't know if they'd probably have to come to maybe Connecticut or.
Yeah.
Or
I was even thinking Plymouth at Memorial Hall would be cool.
That would be awesome.
Because it kind of reminded me of what the place in Kansas City the Scottish Rite Temple that they do it at in Kansas City kind of reminded me of that. It has that old feel. And I think that would be a perfect spot. And the crowds at Invicta are really not that big, to be honest with you. They're like smaller than I've ever fought at, which has been kind of weird. I've fought at more local shows. So I think they could get a really good crowd in New England for sure.
Yeah, that would be awesome. That'd actually be an awesome place. Sometimes I wondered if they have exclusive, Cage Titans has an exclusive with them that they could be the only
Yeah, I don't know, but I think
promotion
they
there.
would be willing to, because that would be cool for New England to have
it
Invicta
would be.
come. They would. I'm sure Cage Titans would step aside for that.
Yeah, they're probably one of the only ones that would say yes to that. I think,
Colbert's pretty cool.
Yeah,
so.
he is. He definitely is. He's been very progressive, I think, in the area for, getting women on cards, amateur,
Yep.
or whatever, getting, he was very open to that from the very beginning years ago.
Yes, he has had quite a few. So
yeah, over the years, he definitely has, where sometimes others were like, they would have him, but not quite the same. He's the one that's kind of lasted through it all.
Yep.
Still had a lot of people come in and on his show. I know did you fight on their card at all?
Yeah, I fought Kylie O'Hearn on that show.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Would you ever, not now, I don't think she's ranked as high. If she came up in the rankings, that would be kind of a.
Oh yeah. We always joke that, my coach and I, that I'm sure that fight will happen again one day. They wanted a rematch right off the bat, and I'm just like, girl, for that fight, let's get paid for it.
Yeah, exactly.
We know it's going to be a good fight again.
Yeah.
She's a really tough girl, but screw that. I'm not fighting you again, amateur. Let's get paid. So,
definitely.
Yeah. As a pro, I'm sure, I don't know what her plans are, if she wants to try to go to Invicta or what she's doing, but her record right now doesn't really serve me that well, to be honest, a fighter, but if she comes up in the rankings, definitely.
Yeah. How your fight contract with Invicta, how many fights did they give you?
3.
3. So you will definitely have one more. And then you can
hopefully
this one you gotta win. You gotta win. You gotta win, whatever it is.
Yeah, I gotta win.
Hopefully, there'll be something come, early on in 2019 for you.
Yeah, I'm hoping, I don't know about January, hopefully maybe February. Yeah. Early 19 would be great.
Yeah, they have a plan. Yeah, that would be awesome. So, do you have anything that you could share about yourself that nobody knows about?
Wow, that's a tough one, Shelly.
Real secret.
That nobody knows. I don't know. I've been. Caught me off guard with that one. I don't know.
Sorry. Well, you can think about it. Well, we can come back to that. What about do you listen to any sort of music prior to get you inspired, or maybe a movie maybe the night before your fight? And
I listen to, I don't have any music rituals or anything, or movie rituals or anything like that, but I do listen to music. There is one song that always fires me up before a fight, and it's called Dream by, I think it's Imagine Dragon. Yeah, I think it's Imagine Dragon's Dream. Nice. And it's I don't know, it's just a powerful song to me for whatever reason. It just gets me pumped up. So
that's good.
I one of my fights, I think I listened to it 10 times, over and over and over again.
Know all the words.
Yeah. And I always have my Buddha beads. I have these beads that I got from the Shaolin Temple. I don't know if we've ever talked about that, but
actually that was one of my questions. I wanted to ask you. You had spent some time over in China.
Yes. So before I became a fighter, I was into traditional karate, Kempo and Kung Fu as a teenager and into my 20s. So I got an opportunity in 2005 and 2006 to go to China. And we trained at the Shaolin Temple by the monks. We got to perform and everything. So that could be my little secret, even though people do know that. But I did get to perform in front of the Shaolin Temple, in front of the Shaolin monks. I performed a Kung Fu form for them. So out of 500
thumbs up. Did you get the thumbs up by the monks?
We go there and we went and we showed our respect for what, as good as we can do, but we're not anywhere near what they are. They're amazing. But it was truly one of the most incredible experiences of my life, getting to go there and and we just didn't go to the temple. We went to many other cities in China too. Got to see everything from the horrible poverty to cities to it's an amazing place. So
how long were you there?
Like 10 days one time, and I think like 12 or 13 days and the other time.
Oh, so you went twice.
So,
that's right.
Yeah, so we get to travel around. I walked the Great Wall. Got to see the terracotta soldiers. You know what those are?
Yeah.
And,
you got a little Mulan in you.
and then we got to be taught kung fu by Shaolin monks, so that was pretty amazing.
That's pretty cool. I have years ago, my boot camp, we did there was a picture of them in plank positions, the monks going downstairs. And I think they were like in plank, maybe walking down the stairs, and there's a lot of stairs. So my boot campers, I had them mimic like kind of the pose. Like I had them on some stairs in JP, and they're all like there's a bunch of ladies, you know. and I had 2 photographs. It was really cute. Well, I thought it was cute. Maybe nobody else did, but it was inspiring. It was the Shaolin monks going down the stairs, and then you have these like American women going down the stairs in plank positions and looking up like, hey.
That's awesome.
It was pretty funny, but
did it look as good?
I thought we looked damn good.
It's not one of those like Pinterest fails, like what you see on Pinterest, and then what you did.
You look like. Yeah, it should be.
Right.
This is how we think we look over here, but yeah, they do some pretty neat things like climbing up walls, like walking on walls, like
they do some crazy stuff, and it's so wild when you're driving out there because there's just these schools of kids who that's all they want to do is to be a monk, and their parents send them off to these kung fu schools.
Wow.
And you drive through this like country, basically there's nothing out there but kung fu schools. And there's just like fields and fields of kids out there practicing kung fu. And it's the strangest thing. And it's cool, but so and we went to another place that had that performed for us, and they have the kids, they're like 3 years old doing flips and all this crazy stuff, and it's amazing. Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. Did you do any flips when you were there?
No.
No.
That's one thing no. I was a cheerleader for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's another secret. And I never did any of the flips or anything. No.
You weren't the one on the top and then you jump off.
Well, I was on the top because back then I was like, I did it 8th grade and freshman year in high school, and I was tiny. Like I was like 5 feet tall until my junior year of high school.
Uh-huh.
And so I was the flyer on the top, but I would just do the poses and whatever, but never did any like fancy flips. No.
So very cool. There you have it, folks. We found something out that nobody else knew about scary Kerri Kenneson.
Yeah.
She was a cheerleader.
There are pictures that
She was on the pyramid.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's so cool. So I want to thank you for being on the show. It was great. I'm looking forward to, as I'm sure many of your fight fans are looking forward to your next fight at Invicta, or if, you get one with CES up in the near, maybe in the next, who knows?
Yeah, we'll
are you ready to go? Like, are you ready to go? Like if somebody said, okay, we got, say CES said, oh, somebody fell off, can you come up and fight? Would you?
As far as weight goes, yeah. My cardio could probably use a few weeks of work, but my weight's great right now, yeah. But yeah, I think we'd be good with like a month.
Yeah. Well, I know the card for say Invicta, I was looking to see if there were any bantamweights, but I think it's all like fly and straw weight or something like that.
Yeah, I have to take a look. I think there might be one.
Yeah, because I was like, oh, you better be ready. You never know what can happen.
I know, and that's the thing.
2 weeks.
Which is also great about Invicta because, I've gotten a bunch of last-minute offers, and a couple of them didn't pan out. But, yeah, that's the thing. You got to stay ready, stay in shape if you want to fight because they're always calling people falling out. So,
yeah.
But until then, we're just going to plug away and be my quiet self here, and
have a nice trip up to TriStar up in
yep.
Montreal. And cool. So it's great. I'm glad we got a chance to catch up to see where you're at. And like I said, we're looking forward to seeing you fight again. I know I am, and I'm sure a lot of New Englanders are.
Yes, we all are. Get that win back and be good.
Yeah. So thanks again.
Thank you, Shelley.
Thank you. Good luck training too, and have fun up in Montreal. And
Thank you.
Holidays too.
All right.
And let me know if you get a fight soon.
I will, of course.
Okay.
All right.
Anyways, but that's cool. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So, hey, that was Kerri Kenneson, and I'm sure you're looking forward just as much as I am to see her fight again at Invicta FC. Hopefully in 2019. It would be really great to see her fight again, for sure. So if you like what you heard today and are eager to hear more, remember to subscribe and download on iTunes and leave us an awesome review. It helps people find the show. Or, you can listen in on the podcast while you're doing other things. You can find us at Podomatic, Shout Engine, and Spotify at Evolve Women's MMA. And if you prefer to watch, you can find us at YouTube at Women's MMA. So, or you can just simply follow us at facebook.com. I love WMMA. This is Shelley Devine. Thanks for listening.